They don't eat because they're hungry. They eat because no one is watching. That's the part nobody talks about. Secret eating doesn't happen in public restaurants or family dinners. It happens in silence, late at night, standing over the sink, in the car before going home, behind closed doors where judgment can't reach. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If this behavior exists in secret, it's not about food. It's about safety. From the outside, secret eaters often look controlled, disciplined, put together. They might even be the same people who give advice, show restraint, or appear strong. But inside, there's a quiet split happening. Food becomes the only space where rules disappear. No expectations, no standards, no performance. In that moment, chewing feels like relief. Swallowing feels like control returning. For a few minutes, the noise inside the head goes quiet. Psychologically, this is called private permission, a hidden ritual where the brain finally stops pretending. Secret eaters aren't weak, they're exhausted. They spend most of their day managing how they're seen, managing emotions, managing pressure, managing restraint. So when no one is watching, the body takes what it's been denied. Not calories, comfort. And the most dangerous part isn't the eating itself, it's the silence around it. Because once your brain learns that relief only comes in secret, it starts craving isolation more than food. And that's where the real pattern begins.
Shame is the fuel that keeps secret eating alive. Not loud shame, quiet shame, the kind that doesn't scream, but whispers. It says, "You should be better than this. You are doing so well. No one can know." This creates a psychological trap. The more someone tries to control their eating in public, the more powerful the urge becomes in private, because control without compassion always leaks somewhere. Secret eaters often grow up learning that certain needs are inconvenient, too much, too emotional, too indulgent, so they learn to contain themselves. Food becomes the only need they can meet without asking permission. There's also a deep illusion of control happening. Eating in secret feels like taking something back, a private rebellion against expectations, rules, or self-image. In that moment, they're not being watched, not being evaluated, not being compared. The brain associates secrecy with autonomy, and autonomy feels calming. This is why the urge doesn't disappear with willpower, because the behavior isn't driven by hunger, it's driven by relief. Relief from being seen, relief from performing, relief from constantly holding it together. And here's what makes it even more complicated. After the relief fades, shame rushes back in. So the mind makes a quiet promise. I'll be better tomorrow. I'll fix this later. I just need this one moment. That promise reduces anxiety, which makes the cycle feel justified. This isn't a lack of discipline. It's a nervous system searching for a safe place to rest. And when food becomes that place, it stops being about eating at all. There are two types of hunger most people never learn to separate. One lives in the body, the other lives in the mind. Physical hunger asks for fuel. Emotional hunger asks for relief. Secret eaters are responding to the second one. Their body may already be full, but their nervous system isn't satisfied. Something inside still feels empty, tense, unfinished. So the brain reaches for what it knows works fast. Food triggers dopamine, warmth, softness, a temporary sense of being held. This is why secret eating often involves specific textures and flavors: crunchy, sweet, heavy, comforting. The brain isn't choosing randomly, it's self-soothing. And here's the detail most people miss. Secret eaters don't enjoy the food the same way others do. They eat quickly, quietly, almost urgently, because the goal isn't pleasure, it's numbing. For a few minutes, the internal pressure drops, thoughts slow down, emotions blur. But the brain remembers something important. Relief came from hiding. So next time stress appears, the urge isn't just to eat, it's to disappear. This is why secret eating often increases during periods of high responsibility, when someone feels strong on the outside and unsupported on the inside. The more reliable they are for others, the more invisible their own needs become. Food becomes the only listener that doesn't interrupt, the only comfort that doesn't ask questions, the only place where nothing is expected back. And once the brain connects food with emotional safety, it will protect that habit fiercely, not because it's unhealthy, but because at some point it felt necessary. Here's the moment that changes how you see everything. Secret eating isn't about lack of control. It's about too much control. These are often people who regulate themselves all day long. They monitor their words, their reactions, their image. They're praised for being disciplined, responsible, composed, but that praise comes with a cost. Their needs don't disappear. They just go underground. So when the pressure finally lifts, the body takes over. This is the twist. Secret eating is the nervous system rebelling against perfection. It's the only moment where rules collapse, where the inner critic goes quiet, where the person stops being managed. And because this freedom feels rare, the brain makes it sacred, private, untouchable. This is why advice like, just eat mindfully, misses the point. Mindfulness requires safety, and safety is exactly what's missing during the day. The secret eater isn't seeking food. They're seeking a place where they're allowed to exist without being optimized, without being improved, without being watched. And here's the hardest truth. If the rest of life feels like performance, the body will always create an escape. Take away the food, and something else will replace it, because the issue was never appetite. It was permission. Permission to rest. Permission to feel messy. Permission to be human without consequences. Until that permission exists in the open, the secret will stay hidden. Living this way creates a double life. On the surface, secret eaters appear controlled. They talk about balance. They present restraint. They know exactly what they should be doing. But underneath, there's a private version of them that only comes out in hiding. This split is exhausting. Every secret meal strengthens the inner divide, oneself for the world, oneself for relief. Psychologically, the brain learns to associate identity with visibility. When seen, behave. When unseen, release. Over time, this creates emotional whiplash, pride in public, guilt in private. And guilt is dangerous because it doesn't correct behavior, it reinforces secrecy. The more someone feels ashamed, the less likely they are to be honest. The less honest they are, the more isolated they feel. Isolation deepens the need for comfort, and food is always available. This is why secret eaters often feel disconnected from their own bodies. They don't trust hunger signals. They don't trust fullness. They trust silence. Silence feels safe. And here's something rarely said out loud. Many secret eaters are highly empathetic people. They absorb stress that isn't theirs. They hold space for others. But no one holds space for them. So the private eating becomes a form of self-connection, a moment where they don't have to give, explain, or support anyone else, just themselves. But the cost of living split like this is heavy, because the more you hide a part of yourself, the harder it becomes to feel whole. There's a realization that comes quietly, usually late at night. It's not about the food. It never was. Secret eating is a message from a part of you that learned it wasn't safe to be seen needing something. At some point, your hunger became inconvenient. Your emotions became too much. Your comfort became optional. So you adapted. You learned how to be strong in public and soft in private, how to meet everyone else's expectations and secretly meet your own. But here's the haunting truth. The body keeps score, and it will always find a way to speak. If you only allow yourself relief in hiding, your mind will keep asking for darkness, not because you're broken, but because you're protecting something fragile, the part of you that just wants to rest without explanation, without guilt, without self-correction. The moment you stop seeing secret eating as a failure and start seeing it as a signal, everything shifts. It's not asking for control, it's asking for permission. Permission to be honest about what you need, permission to take up space without earning it, permission to stop performing wellness and start experiencing safety. Because the most painful part isn't the eating, it's believing that the only time you're allowed comfort is when no one can see you. And once you notice that, you don't just think about food differently. You start questioning how many other parts of yourself you've been hiding just to survive. Here's the thought that lingers long after everything else fades. Secret eaters aren't hiding food, they're hiding need. They learned slowly and quietly that being seen wanting something came with consequences, judgment, control, disappointment. So they made their comfort invisible. And the brain adapted beautifully. It created a ritual, a private space where nothing is expected, nothing is demanded, and no one is watching. But survival patterns don't disappear just because life improves. They stay long after the danger is gone. That's why secret eating can exist even when things look fine, even when there's enough food, enough support, enough success. Because the habit wasn't built in the present. It was built in a moment when hiding felt safer than asking. The haunting realization is this. Healing doesn't start with eating differently. It starts with allowing yourself to be seen while you're still human, still messy, still wanting. The moment comfort no longer needs secrecy, the pattern begins to lose its power. Not through force, not through shame, but through safety. And maybe the most unsettling question of all is this. If you no longer had to hide to feel comfort, who would you become in the light?